Hi guys, it is Howitzer here, and I am back with another Kaiju Explained episode. Seeing as how I covered the original Mechagodzilla versions from the Showa era in the last episode, we're going to take a look at the Heisei version of Mechagodzilla. This was one of Godzilla's most powerful foes. He came very close to defeating, if not killing, Godzilla on both of their first encounters. In the original drafts for Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, the mech was going to be a monster called Berserk that would start out the film as a Godzilla-like creature and would later become evil after becoming infected with a computer virus that would make it self-aware. This later changed to Mechagodzilla, but he was going to be able to separate into two different vehicles. Eventually, this idea was changed to have the Garuda warship combine with Mechagodzilla in order to form Super Mechagodzilla. Many people put his Super Godzilla form at the top of their list of Godzilla foes, if not at the #1 spot. I'll have to admit, I'm inclined to agree with them on that placement of the Heisei version of Mechagodzilla on the list of Godzilla's toughest enemies. Let's not waste any more time and let's jump in and take a look at his stats. The Heisei Mechagodzilla comes in weighing at 150,000 tons and stands at a towering 120 meters tall. When combined with Garuda, Super Mechagodzilla weighs 150,482 tons. He is powered by a nuclear reactor. This version of Mechagodzilla was actually created using the remains of yet another kaiju enemy, but we'll cover that later on when we take a look at his origin. Mechagodzilla contains powerful laser cannons in his eyes and can unleash his Mega Buster Ray from his mouth. The Mega Buster has enough power to be able to lock with Godzilla's atomic breath. He is also able to fire tranquilizer missiles from his hips, as well as paralysis missiles from his shoulders. These were effective enough to momentarily stun Godzilla. He is equipped with shock anchor cables in his wrist that he could fire into Godzilla, even piercing his skin. This was later modified into the G Crusher, which was used to try to destroy the second brain of Godzilla. Mechagodzilla was also equipped with an NT-1 alloy, which is coated in a layer of artificial diamond. This would allow Mechagodzilla not only to be able to withstand intense heat, but he could then transfer the heat into energy and use it to power his plasma grenades. The armor was able to withstand the breath of Godzilla, even taking blasts of Godzilla's powered-up spiral breath before eventually failing. But that was only after the death of Rodan had caused a mist of sorts that was able to melt off the artificial diamond layer, removing its ability to reflect or absorb heat energy. Mechagodzilla was also able to use his plasma grenade, which was an intensely powerful beam fired from its torso that was easily able to damage Godzilla and Rodan. Last but not least, Mechagodzilla can join with the warship Garuda to form Super Mechagodzilla. Once this is done, Mechagodzilla gains the maser cannons from Garuda, as well as gaining its extra power from the ship. Mechagodzilla was even seen to heal itself after joining up with the Garuda and forming Super Mechagodzilla, as we could see his eye was repaired after the formation. He is capable of flight of up to Mach 1, but can increase that to Mach 2 when in Super Mechagodzilla formation. As far as weaknesses for the Heisei Mechagodzilla, they aren't quite as extensive as the list was for the first Mechagodzilla in the Showa era. I would say that the Showa Mechagodzilla was probably better at melee than the Heisei Mechagodzilla, but again, this could be explained away by the Heisei era's direction of using ranged attacks over melee attacks. I will say that Godzilla was able to easily handle Mechagodzilla when in close range melee combat. His armor was able to withstand Godzilla's atomic breath attacks, but it did fail once Godzilla was in his super powered form from Rodan. To me, this is not an issue, however, because it's not going to be common in battle that the adversary against Mechagodzilla would be able to absorb the life force of a kaiju as strong as Rodan during the fight. One last weakness would be the pilots. Mechagodzilla can only fight as well as his pilots allow him to. Luckily, Godzilla can't just pull the head off of this version of Mecha G, and the pilots are inside the mech, so you can't easily stop the controllers like they were able to in the Showa version. The suit actor for Heisei's Mechagodzilla was Wataru Fukuda. Mechagodzilla was created by the military branch, the G-Force. Their first try at an anti-Godzilla vehicle was the warship Garuda. However, it was not strong enough to defeat Godzilla. G-Force then reverse-engineered Futurian technology salvaged from Mecha King Ghidorah. They then used the knowledge gained from Mecha King Ghidorah to create Mechagodzilla. Later on, the Garuda warship was connected to the shoulders of Mechagodzilla in order to create Super Mecha G. It was constructed as part of a joint operation between the American and Japanese governments to defend humanity from the Kaiju appearing around the globe. Although the Heisei Mecha G appears in the movie Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, there were two versions of the Showa era mech, with one appearing in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and the second appearing in Terror of Mechagodzilla. These versions are not in the same continuity, so it's easier just to call him the Heisei era Mecha G. This era's Mechagodzilla was the tallest one at 120 meters, both the Showa era and Kiryu coming in at 50 and 60 meters tall each. He was almost featured in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, but was later replaced by Mogera. In the end, it can easily be argued that Super Mechagodzilla was one of Godzilla's toughest foes to fight, and may have been the most powerful incarnation of Mecha G in the whole Godzilla series. Adding the combination of the Garuda warship was a really nice touch in my opinion. It's just too bad we never got to see any of the Mecha G versions fight each other. What is your favorite era for Mecha G? Where do you rank the Heisei version on the enemy power scale? Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you liked the video, if you could leave it a like, it helps out the channel so much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, why not for all the future Godzilla goodness to come? Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.